Okay, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Episode 685 of the show. Now, I am recording this Friday night, May 17th, after the Yankees. God, who the fuck did they play? After Yankees White Sox game 1. But we are doing a series recap of Yankees Twins. I just had to delay it tonight because I've been busy. But this is a Yankees-Twins recap. The Yankees did win again, though, tonight against the White Sox at the stadium. But we will be talking Yankees-Twins in this episode 685 of BD4. Let's get into it. Let's talk Yanks-Twins. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show. She was doing a great job of feeding that. It's over.
Coming to the net. Don't you regret not coming to the net?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right, welcome to the show, episode 685 of the podcast. Now, this is audio only. Just didn't have time to set everything up. And it's also a night after the Yankees played beat the Twins. They swept the Twins. But this is audio only for those who are watching on YouTube. Audio only. You still get the show on YouTube, but it's audio only. But yes, the Yankees, I mean, they continue to own the Minnesota Twins. I mean, this has been a well-documented domination, between the two sides. The Yankees just, every time they play them, regular season, postseason, they embarrass them. They own this franchise. They have two franchises, the New York Yankees franchise and the Minnesota Twins franchise. So they sweep them pretty easy. We're never really ever in question. Like, each game was totally under control. They sweep the Twins. They beat the Chicago White Sox tonight. So they are now 31-15 on the season, which is a .674 win percentage. That has them in first place by one game over the Baltimore Orioles, who continue to win as the Yankees do. But a little shakeup underneath the Orioles. Boston has now lost 3 games in a row, and with Tampa winning 3 games in a row, those teams have swapped spots. So Boston drops to 4th place, Tampa jumps to 3rd place. Toronto, though, remains overrated as ever. But at least, hey, they remain in 5th. But what's his name? Manoah actually put together a good start about a week ago against the Twins. He won 7 shutout. But good for him. But no, Toronto remains in 5th place. So I think it's going to be the Yankees and O's all year. I've said this before. This season, the American League East just doesn't impress me. I'm not scared of Tampa Bay. I'm definitely not scared of Boston. And I'm definitely not scared of Toronto, although I do think they have the most upside of those 3 teams. But I have a confidence in this Yankees team. They might be better than I thought. Listen, I said for a lot of the preseason, I said a couple times already this season, I think the Yankees are an 88 to 89 win team who are going to get a wild card spot. Right now, I'm looking pretty stupid on that take. They might be a little bit better. And listen, the whole thing has been like they've had the upside. It was just the question marks that I was concerned about. And it's in particular, it was the pitching staff, which we're going to touch on that later. But I have a confidence in this Yankees team right now. You know, they just seem to be in control of every game they play at the moment. There's actual talent out there, right? Like, which sounds funny, but you know, it got so ridiculous last year. There wasn't talent on the field for the Yankees. It was Jake Bauers. It was Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. It was Billy McKinney, Franchi Cordero. You know, there wasn't talent out there for them. Willie Calhoun. But now you have talent. You've got guys actually playing positions that they belong in, which, again, embarrassingly enough, that wasn't the case last year. For a New York Yankees team who spends a lot of money, that's embarrassing. So it's good to have that. And now you have depth. You've got names. You've got guys who just get the job done. And that's why you're looking at a team who is currently in first place as I speak on May 17th. So before we begin to recap this 3-game sweep over the Twins, real briefly, some in-house stuff. DJ LeMahieu began a rehab game tonight. I believe he played the field for a few innings. I don't know how that went, but I haven't heard anything about a setback, so I'm assuming it went fine. Although I'm not super confident that he's going to stay healthy throughout this whole thing, because every time, you know, something ends up happening with that foot injury. Tommy Kahnle struck out the side in a 10-pitch inning in his third rehab appearance. That was his first appearance with Double-A. His previous 2 was with Single-A Tampa. So he's working his way back. Should be back by a couple more rehabs, and I think he'll be back up by the end of May, the latest. Oswald Peraza, I think he's back. He's just with Triple-A for the time being. Garrett Cole keeps throwing, and he continues to hear and feel good about himself. And then the Martian, who was 1 for 3 in his first rehab assignment, or first rehab game with Tampa yesterday, the 16th. But unfortunately, we got the update that he's going to be sent to AAA after his assignment is over, which I guess was expected, you know, because you have Alex Verdugo, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Trent Grisham right now. So there's kind of a logjam. Now you can say, you know, say to hell with Grisham, but like, you want Dominguez playing every day. And I don't think they're going to do a rotation, because you still have to sit guys when you do a rotation. And who the hell are you going to sit right now? Because all 4 of those guys are hitting, right? You're never going to sit Judge and Soto. Stanton gets his days of rest, but you don't want it to be any more because he's hitting. And Verdugo is their cleanup hitter, so you're obviously not going to sit him. You know, my whole thing entering the season was I think they would find a way to flip Verdugo at some point in the second half of the season for some pitching. So we'll see what happens there, but he's become such a staple in this lineup. I don't know if you want to do that. But that's a ways away. Dominguez is not going to be a part of this team for at least another month. We'll see what happens down the stretch of the season, unfortunately. But that's that. But with that said, let's get into our recaps here, and let's get to game 1, and we'll do that the second we get back from break here on BD4, episode 685. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to the show, episode 685 of the podcast. You're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Game 1 of this Yankees-Twins series in Minnesota. The Yankees took it 5-1. You had the lefty Carlos Rodon going up against the righty Chris Paddock. The Yankee bats Finished with 5 runs on 13 hits, 3 extra base hits, 3 walks, only 6 strikeouts, 4 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They got off to a start in the top of the second inning where they were down 1-0, but you get Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, and Austin Wells picking up back-to-back base hits. That loads the bases. Then you get the Oswaldo Cabrera sac fly, and then the Anthony Volpe RBI double to make it 2-1 Yankees. Top 3, that's when Giancarlo Stanton goes yard, solo bomb to make it 3-1. And in the 4th inning, Juan Soto walks, Aaron Judge picks up a base hit, Alex Verdugo steps to the plate as the cleanup bat, and he slaps a 2-run double to plate 2 more to make it 5-1 Yankees. All 5 runs came off of Chris Paddock, who went 5 innings. Seemed like he was tipping his pitches. The Yankees were sharp with their timing. They were all over him. They were all over that changeup. They rocked that. Stanton rocked it for the homer. Verdugo rocked that changeup for the double. So he was definitely tipping his pitches. In this game, every single Yankee picked up a hit. But Volpe, Stanton, Gleyber Torres, and Oswaldo Cabrera picked up 2 hits. Carlos Rodon on the mound for the Yankees went 6 innings, let up 1 run on 6 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts, a home run allowed, 102 pitches thrown, and picked up the win. His only blemish was early on in the game. I think it was the 1st inning. Yeah. Where Ryan Jeffers leads off the game on a second pitch solo home run off of a kind of middle fastball. But that was really it. Rodon settled in, and I just liked the way he was attacking the Twins lineup. He was throwing strikes. Again, no walks in the night. He was hammering them with the fastball. He was 55% heater. And he was locating it. And that's the big thing. And his location has really been improving each start. You know, I feel like in the beginning of the season, he was walking batters, but it seems like he's taking a little bit off the fastball if he has to. You know, it's just like pitching versus throwing with him. It's always going to come down to location. I feel like earlier in the season, while he was still putting together some good starts, it was more inconsistent because he was just out there chucking 97. Now he's locating at 95, and he's able to complement his secondary, tertiary pitches off of that, right? Which is why you're seeing the pitch mix improve too. He was 17% changeup curve cutter in this game. The changeup saw most of the usage after the usual fastball slider combo. You know, we've seen in recent starts, really for most of the season, the cutter has been the tertiary go-to. In this game, it was the changeup. I liked how he used that changeup against right-handed batters going away. So the pitch mix looks better, the location's improved, and Carlos Rodon really starting to come into his own here as the number 2 bread maker in the rotation, right? With Garrett Cole down, every Yankees fan, rightly so, looked at Carlos Rodon as the guy who needs to step up because he's making the big bucks. And on the year, Carlos Rodon's got a 3.31 ERA, and he's, again, earlier in the season with the walk issues, he was not able to really give you length, right? In 3 of his first 4 starts, he went 4 innings or 5 innings or less in each, or let's see. Yeah, I mean, against Houston, 4 1/3. Then he was only 5 1/3 against Arizona, went 6 against Miami, then 4 against the Jays. But now you look at him, and 5 of his last 6 starts, he's gone at least 6 innings, 2 times into the 7th or more. So it's all coming down to the location for Carlos Rodon, and that's what I like to see from him. And in the bullpen of this game, 3 innings, no runs. Hamilton pitched 2, the 7th and the 8th. He was much better. We'll talk about that later. Clay Holmes got the 9th, 1 inning, no runs, and he remains perfect. The guy is unbelievable. So the Yankees win 5-1 in Game 1. Game 2, the Yankees picked up a win 4-0 in Game 2. This was the right-hander Marcus Stroman against the right-hander Pablo Lopez, who Tell you what, man, if I'm a Twins fan, I'm still not forgiving them for trading Arias for Pablo Lopez, who's a good pitcher, and they like him over there. They got his own section. But I still can't believe that trade. 4 runs for the Yankees on 13 hits, 6 extra base hits, couple walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 double plays, 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Top of the first, Aaron Judge, the solo home run. Top of the second, kind of similar. You get the Gleyber, Trevino, Oswaldo back-to-back base hits, this time to load the bases. And then Volpe with the sac fly, because I tell you what, that guy Castro had himself a series on both sides, really. Just a mess out there in center field. So Gleyber tags, scores. He forgets how many outs there were. He was a mess all series long. But that makes it 2-0 Yankees. Top 3, Judge with the leadoff double. Verdugo with the single to make it first and third for Stanton. And he rips an RBI single. It's 3-0. And then top 7 versus the Minnesota bullpen. Funderburk was in the game. That's a name for you. Soto and then Judge, they pick up back-to-back doubles. So run scores. It's 4-0 Yankees. They scored 3 of those runs on Lopez, who went 6 1/3. And every Yankee but Rizzo picked up hits. Judge had 4 hits, was on base 5 times. Stanton and Verdugo had 2 hits. Pitching for the Yankees in this game, you got 6 innings from Stroman, no runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, couple strikeouts. No home runs allowed, 91 pitches in the win. Definitely needed to rebound. And he did exactly that. You know, he had a couple starts in a row there where he couldn't find the location, was struggling putting runners on, and it looked like that early on. You know, second inning, he gets into that bases loaded jam, but he gets out of it. Got some help from his defense, induced some soft contact, couple double plays, did have a couple deep flyouts, but he finished the game strong. And another quality outing for Stroman. Listen, if Stroman's your worst starting pitcher in the rotation, that's a pretty damn good rotation because the guy's been pretty solid for you. And then the bullpen, 3 innings, no runs. You had Luke Weaver going 2. His changeup continues to just be filthy. And then Ferguson goes an inning in the 9th there. Almost gives up a home run, but the Yankees do win 4-0. Game 3, the Yankees pick up the win by a score of 5-0. You had the righty Clark Schmidt going up against the right-hander Joe Ryan. 5 runs for the Yankees on 9 hits, 5 extra base hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, 2 for 11 in scoring position. Volpe with a leadoff home run in the first inning. Judge walks after that. Verdugo singles, so now you got first and second. Gleyber Torres with the RBI double. And then Anthony Rizzo with the RBI ground out. It's 3-0. Top 6 was the next score. Gleyber Torres, a 1-out double. That pulls Ryan from the game. Minnesota goes to their bullpen, but Austin Wells picks up an RBI single to make it 4-0. And then top 7 versus Sands. You get the Soto walk, the Judge double, first and third for Verdugo. Sac fly makes it 5-0. 6 of the 9 Yankees picked up hits. Volpe, Judge, Gleyber with 2. 5 Yankees had RBIs. And then Soto, Rizzo, and Grisham were the only hitless Yankees. So the left-handers in this game, the lefties were neutralized. This was the punt lineup, so you did not have Stanton. Grisham was in, and you did not have Oswaldo Cabrera. Birdie was in. I don't love when the Yankees do this, but they haven't been doing it much this year, for one. And secondly, they had already won the series, entering game 3, so it was survivable. And, it's still because they've got some names this year, they actually have some depth. It's a lineup that you're able to live with because Birdie and Oswaldo have been pretty equal. And then, Grisham's abysmal, but you're able to survive that because, again, you've got names outside of that. Schmidt, we'll talk about his performance later. Gonzalez got the 9th, went 1-2-3 to secure the 5-0 win. So let's talk Clark Schmidt when we return from our second break here on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4. If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 685 of BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. I appreciate you all tuning in. We are going to tip our caps now. And our first salute's going out to Clark Schmidt on the mound for having a hell of a Game 3 against the Twins. The best start of his career following the best start of his career. I mean, the guy's been on a heater. 8 innings, no runs, 3 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts, just 1 hit batter, no home runs, 103 pitches, and he secured the win. So, listen, Clark Schmidt this season you're seeing the signs of development because he's correcting issues that he had trouble fixing in the past. One of the reasons, obviously, going deeper into games, right? I mean, that has been his big thing. 3rd time through the order, getting past the 5th inning, whatever way you look at it, just fatigue. Like, he's lately been figuring that out. And I think it's because of a number of things. I think it's because of his pitch mix. He's able to get left-handers out more effectively because he's going to that cutter up in the zone against them. And I've always thought that Clark Schmidt had such good stuff. I never understood why it didn't translate into strikeouts as much as it should have, But it seems like he's picking up more strikeouts because he's going to that cut fastball against lefties more, and he's netting some results. And so these are all things like he hasn't been able, like in the past, he wasn't a guy who struck many batters out. He wasn't a guy who went deep into games. He was a guy who had trouble against lefties. But he's finding something to where he's kind of fixed that. He's averaging the highest strikeouts per 9 in his career. It's a shade below 10. He's going deeper into games. He's mixing up the pitches. It's not just the cutter, but he's going to that curveball more, right? In his last two starts, especially, you're seeing Clark Schmidt go to that knuckle curve, and it's a great pitch when he throws that curve off of the sinker. I think it was a couple episodes ago, maybe last episode, we talked about how Clay Holmes is very good at funneling, where you could see the overlay on 2 pitches that have the same path to the plate, but they go in 2 completely different directions. Well, that's Clark Schmidt when you look at the sinker, and then when he throws the curve off of the sinker. Excellent overlay there. So he's just been excellent. He's got a 2.49 ERA now in the season, I believe. He's 5-1. And again, the strikeouts are better. 55 strikeouts and 50 2/3 innings. He's been great. He's figured something out, and it's working for him. So I think I just think this pitching staff's been unbelievable for the Yankees. Which, listen, I've always said, first of all, the Minnesota Twins have a damn good lineup. Like, I don't know what their numbers are now after they were just absolutely, taken care of by the Yankee arms. But entering this series, they were up there in runs. Power numbers were there, OPS, home runs. But to hold them to 1 run, no runs after the first inning of Game 1, that is just super impressive. I don't care what you have to say. You have to give them credit for that. They now, after tonight, only holding the Chicago White Sox to 2 runs. They now have the best ERA in baseball. They are finally above Boston, who I have no idea how Boston's there. But the Yankees are now first in ERA. And it's both their rotation and bullpen, right? The bullpen keeps getting it done. Behind mostly Holmes and Weaver. They've carried a lot of that workload. But Nick Birdie's been pretty decent. Victor Gonzalez doesn't feel like he's been great, but the numbers say he's been pretty good. Other guys need to step up. We need to see consistency from Ferguson because he's just been really bad at times. Ian Hamilton's been pretty bad. We're going to talk about him later. He had a bad night again tonight, and with him, it's consistently just he's putting traffic on the bases. Hits, walks, hit batters. He's just putting runners on constantly. Dennis Santana they're kind of going to him less and less because he's been pretty bad. So I still would like an addition, like a strikeout arm at some point added to the bullpen. Somebody who can miss bats. Preferably a left-handed pitcher in there. And I hope that Canely progresses in his rehab and they get him soon and he's effective. And, hopefully Efros, too, comes back effective. I always liked him, just not healthy. Lou Trevino with the step back. But overall, I'm as iffy as I am on the bullpen at times. It's gotten it done, and I still believe that by the end of the season, we'll be talking about the Yankee bullpen as one of the best of them because, again, guys are returning, and the Yankees will make additions to that bullpen, I believe, by the deadline. I think they will make a trade. And then the rotation, just like, again, we said it preseason. We've been saying it all year. Low floor, high ceiling, right? Low floor, high ceiling. That's going to be the X factor of their season. They have the upside to be a really good staff, and then they have the downside to just not be very good. And right now we're seeing them hit their ceiling, which is very, very high. They have the third best ERA of any rotation. They are 8th in WHIP. They are 3rd in strikeouts, 4th in batting average against. And what I like is that they're going deep into games. That was kind of an issue earlier in the season. Although it was, at worst, like they were just mediocre in terms of giving the Yankees length. But now they're actually going deep. Like you're seeing Nestor Cortez, Clark Schmidt, Carlos Rodon going 7+ innings, right? They're 4th in innings pitched on the season, their rotation is. So they're being efficient. They're mixing in their cutters, man. That cut fastball has become, once again, a weapon for the Yankees, and that's a Matt Blake thing, right? I mean, Nestor Cortez using that cut fastball again tonight. I mean, that's been a thing that he added that and started going to that a few years ago when they got him back in here. But, I mean, Matt Blake emphasizing the cut fastball with Rodon this year, getting him to use that. Stroman using it a lot more. Schmidt using the cut fastball. So the Yankee starters getting it done, and it's coming to a point where it's like when Garrett Cole returns, and God forbid his rehab continues to go well, who's going out? Who's leaving? I don't believe that it's going to be a 6-man rotation. I just, like, I know they're trying to limit Luis Gil's innings, and they might want to take it somewhat easy on Cole before October, so it's a possibility. But I also think, a guy like Garrett Cole is a creature of habit. You kind of don't want to screw up his routine. He's used to his entire career. He's been pitching every 5th day. Kind of don't want to screw that up. It might just be Luis Gil. As unfortunate as that is, he might be the guy to go to the bullpen just because he's coming off of Tommy John. And they've said, they said earlier in the season, listen, they literally told us straight up that Luis Gil, Aaron Boone told John Boy that he's going to be on a limit and they're going to try to keep his innings under 150. So he's probably going to the bullpen, especially with the bullpen needing some more, like I just said, strikeout artists. He's probably the best idea to go to the bullpen, which he'll be a weapon there. His stuff will play up even more. It just sucks to lose him because he's arguably been their best starter. Stroman's probably been the worst of the 5, but I don't see them moving him to the bullpen. He's a veteran. I don't know, with his personality, I'm not sure he's going to like that. Nestor Cortez has been a popular name in terms of, being talked about as pushing him back into the bullpen, multiple innings role maybe, but he's also leading the Yankees, or not the Yankees. He's leading Major League Baseball, I believe, in innings pitched. So, do you really want to fuck with that? So overall, as much as I don't want it to be Luis Seal, I think it's going to be Luis Seal when Garrett comes back. But regardless, it's been a hell of a year for the Yankee pitchers, period. Listen, I think I kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm not gonna lie. All right. We're talking about the bats. In particular, we're finally getting a healthy Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. Knock on wood, but it seems like for the first time in this whole experiment with the Stanton Judge experiment, maybe it hasn't happened much, where both so far are healthy and productive, knock on wood. Aaron Judge is, Jesus Christ. I mean, when you talk about the best hitters in baseball, how they're able to just get hot just in a snap of a finger, and all of a sudden Judge is on friggin' fire. He's been a doubles machine, which is really fun to watch. That's kind of new for Judge. Just ripping doubles left and right. I think he's among the top 3 in baseball there. He's been doubling like crazy. He hit another home run tonight, by the way. Even his outs have been loud, but he's getting on base. He's walking if he's not getting a hit. And, listen, you look at his numbers, and all of a sudden they're Judge-like numbers again. I mean, let me go to the app here. I'm not even exaggerating. Aaron Judge he was down to 170, and he was down to 170 not long ago. And all of a sudden, Judge has the highest OPS on the team, right? It's 981. His average is 267, which was exactly what his batting average was last year. He's got a 405 on base, 576 slug. It's Aaron Judge numbers. 15 doubles, 12 homers, 30 RBIs in 46 games. The guy is on fire. On fire. And I was one of the critics earlier in the season. I don't think I said anything outlandish. With me, it was just I was just hoping that he was healthy. I was just a little bit afraid of the injury, of the age. Playing center field, was that kind of wearing on him? The toe injury. You had the whole oblique thing in spring training with the abs. I was just worried. I just was hoping he was healthy. And turns out that sometimes the best hitters in baseball will slump. So it turns out we're overreacting. And we do have to remember that he didn't really get much of a spring training. He only got, 30 at-bats? So he took April as his spring training, and now Aaron Judge seems to be back, and Aaron Judge is on a friggin' tear. So having him and Stanton mash like this, Stanton looks very good. Home run for him tonight. But he just looks different up there. His swing path is a lot flatter. I went and looked at the numbers. They do match the eye test. His launch angle is down to 8 degrees versus the 13 degrees that it was at last year. His bat speed's better. That was the thing. It seemed like it slowed down last year, but the bat speed's back. He's catching up to fastballs much more. He was 207 2 years ago. He was 201 last year. And entering tonight, he came into it batting 250 off the fastball. So much better. He's putting the ball in play super hard again. And he just has a balanced look at the plate, right? He seems to be in control. He hasn't had many crazy swings of late where he's just chasing those sliders in the dirt. And he's disciplined up there, which is why all year he's been nails with runners in scoring position. That's been a thing of him in the past that's kind of been not a concern, but a problem. But Giancarlo Stanton this year is batting .361 with a 1092 OPS in scoring position. He's just been an RBI machine. And I like that he's doing this at the number 5 spot in the order. I think it's a good spot for him. So he has come and just flipped the narrative on himself. You know, a lot of us, including myself, thought he was cooked, washed, finished after the last couple of seasons. But he's showing that he still has something left. And if this is what we get from Stanton this year, which isn't peak Giancarlo Stanton, let's be clear, but it's very productive Stanton. It's a productive middle of the order power bat, then I'm taking it. And him and Judge, to have them both mashing and hitting homers in the same games again, like that's why they made the signing, the trade, right? That's why they did that deal. So to have that, big, because Judge and Stanton are two just elite, hit the ball friggin' miles, power hitters, and it's gonna be so crucial in a playoff series. I know I'm getting ahead of myself now, but Gleyber Torres kind of warming up a little bit. Last 5 games for Gleyber, so this includes tonight. He's 7 for 20. That's a .350 average, 4 RBIs. What I'm noticing about Gleyber lately is Gleyber, it seems like he's, again, when he's on, he's not forcing the power. And it seems like lately his focus has been less on swinging for power, and he's kind of just going back to the basics, where he's got a softer swing. He's focusing on just getting those simple base hits, and he's letting the power come naturally, because he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't need to swing for the fence, because you look at the kid, he's got a strong base, right? Like, he's got good lower body strength. So just getting that type of Gleyber Torres, who just focus on poking the ball to right field, the home runs are going to come, especially when you play inside this stadium. So it's good to see him hitting a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to hold up. We'll see, because he's had an inconsistent career. But if it holds up, that's only good things, because obviously it's good for the Yankees, but it increases the trade value. And this is a guy who's probably not going to sign back with the Yankees. They're probably not going to extend him. Their sole focus is on Juan Soto, which we'll talk about in a second. But the more Gleyber hits, you have the depth in the system to where you can move him and not worry about it. I would love to move Gleyber Torres for one of the Miami Marlins pitchers. That's always been, I've been on that for 2 years now, 3 years. But yeah, the Yankees have the depth in the infield to move Torres if he starts hitting and upping that value. They've got Peraza, as much as they don't like to use him. They've got this Yorbit Vivas kid, who they got from the Dodgers, who's probably going to be the next man up. Probably going to be who they look at in the future when Torres is gone. You have Roderick Arias. You've got George Lombard, who made some noise in spring training. But I think Vivas is going to be the next man up. I think they even see him as an option above Peraza. So keep an eye on that name. But Torres, the more he hits, the better it is for the Yankees, because they can use him as an expendable. But it's good to see this lineup start clicking again. They're alive. Most guys right now are clicking. Verdugo's hitting. Volpe's hitting again. Oswaldo's been fine. Birdie's been fine. Stanton's hitting. Judge is, again, mashing. The catchers are hitting. Rizzo, a little bit of a slump, but he broke out of it tonight. A couple hits. Everybody really, except for Juan Soto at the moment, is hitting. Juan Soto's in a little bit of a slump. But I like it because the Yankees are still scoring runs and they're still winning. So that's now there's always a narrative, right? But that's now killing this whole the New York Soto's narrative where it's just him doing everything. No, it's in fact this is why the Yankees are winning. Their depth. They're all these guys are hitting. So that's just how baseball works. Hopefully you get a point in the season where you have everybody clicking, in particular Judge and Soto, right? I think everybody's waiting for that. But right now it's working regardless, and that's why you have the depth. So if one guy's not hitting, you have others stepping up. Hopefully at some point, everybody. But what I like is they're making contact. They're making hard contact. They're putting the ball in play with liners. They're barreling the ball, and the Yankees aren't striking out. Now they've never been like, I think a narrative on them is that they've struck out a lot, like too much, and sure, in the playoffs they do. But this season, like, they're really making a lot of contact. That strikeout concern is not there, which is huge because that's going to help them in the postseason. But they have the 7th lowest strikeout total this year. This is entering tonight. They have the 3rd lowest K rate, which obviously that means they're, the ground ball double plays are an issue, right? It's going to happen when you make more contact. It's annoying as hell. They still need to clean that up. The good thing is, I think they only hit into 2 in this series against the Twins. But, they're not striking out, man. And that's helping them hit the ball. They're 5th in average. A lot of base hits. They're 2nd in home runs. They're 2nd in walks. They're on base percentage. They're 3rd. So to see the Yankees hit for average is interesting. It's great. They're not striking out. Verdugo is making contact. Volpe is making contact. You got, obviously Soto puts the ball in play. Really, Rizzo putting the ball in play. Even Torres putting the ball in play. It's just your power hitters. It's Judge and it's Stanton. Those guys are going to miss. They're going to, Judge gets that low call on him a lot. Stanton will chase those sliders. But everybody else is making great contact. So that's leading to this success. And I like the structure of this lineup so much better than I had Yankee lineups of the past. Like, they've got an approach. They're going to wear you out. They're continuing to really hit with this lefty-righty that they got going on. I love the balance. I love the batting order, like these complementary pairings. Judge and Soto back-to-back is great. Stanton, Rizzo back-to-back is great. I love having Verdugo at cleanup. I thought that was a good adjustment by Boone in the middle of April whenever he made that switch. Maybe late April, maybe early May. I don't know. I can't remember. I love the switch to having Volpe go to leadoff. He's been fine there. It was a little like it came right at the end of his hot streak, and so he started slumping a little bit. And they're like, Yankees fans, should he have been moved to leadoff? Baseball. He wasn't going to hit a 400 all year, and now he's hot again. He's on a 10-game hit streak from the leadoff spot at the moment. He's had a double during that streak, a triple, 3 home runs, couple walks, 2 stolen bases, 6 runs scored. The power has been back. It's good to see him hitting for power again, but he's hitting for average. He's batting .273 on the year, and that might be where he lives, and that'd be a huge win. Entering the season, I said, Anthony Volpe, give me close to 250. Give me a 750 OPS, and I'm living. But as a leadoff hitter, if he can do 270, total win. So that's good. Aaron Judge. I'm going to give Aaron Judge my tip of the cap. I'm saluting Aaron Judge, tipping my cap to him this series. And I think that's his, 3rd of the season? Aaron Judge, let me see. Let me get out the old notes. Aaron Judge on the year, yes. With this, it's his 3rd time this season getting a salute. So I tip my cap to Aaron Judge, who just is having an incredible stretch of baseball right now. Just is not missing the baseball. Everything's working for him. And he's on a friggin' tear. So Aaron Judge, I tip my cap to you. And then last but not least, I'm going to salute Ian Hamilton. Finally coming through in this series. Pitched a couple of innings. Not much traffic at all. He gets his third salute of the season. He's had trouble this season with traffic on the bases, but in this Minnesota Twins series, he at least did the job done. It was the best he looked in a while. Unfortunately, he kind of had a setback tonight. He did escape the jam, but he put a ton of runners on. But three salutes on the year for Ian Hamilton. So good for him. Before we wrap this up, I do want to talk a little bit about some news we got, or not news, but a little bit of we got some comments regarding Juan Soto. Scott Boras maybe willing to negotiate mid-season regarding an extension for Juan Soto. Because Boras was talking to the press, and I quote, he said, "Always happy to talk with Hal. Juan is getting to know the Yankee organization. His singular focus is winning." So, also, Jack Curry interviewed Hal on his podcast, and Hal told Jack Curry that he would like to see Soto finish his career in pinstripes and that there will be talks this season with him. Soto was asked about all of this, and he told the press, "My door is always open." I don't know. You can call it progress, right? Or potential progress. Like, I think everybody was on there's no way that a Boras client is going to talk extensions. There's not even going to be a chance. So, talk is cheap, but I don't know. This seems like it's more than just nothing. It seems like they're at least willing to pick up the phone right now. But we'll see. I will say the Yankees do need to be careful. If they do start talking extensions and the Yankees throw out a very high number, let's say they say, "Hey, we'll pay you $600," and then Soto is still dead set on testing the market in the winter. Now he's going to hold you to that $600, and that's the starting point. I was talking to my cousin about this, and I'm not a huge Giants fan, but he said that was kind of the thing with Saquon Barkley that happened. So you don't want to set a high figure as your starting point. That's the only concern of mine. But hey, I think at the end of the day, I think Hal is going to do everything it takes. I don't think there's a chance that Juan Soto leaves New York. I think he's a Yankee for life, and I just hope that comes to fruition. But that's it. The Yankees sweep the Twins. Let's head to our final break, and then when we wrap this up, or before we wrap this up, we'll get back and get to our trivia, and then that will be that. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio 69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
Welcome back to the show, episode 685 of the podcast. Let's wrap this one up with our trivia question of the day. So for this episode, our NYY NYK MMA trivia question of the day is, I don't know if we've asked this before. I get a feeling that we did. I don't keep track of which questions I asked. But anyways, which Yankees legend is the only player to win World Series MVP and All-Star Game MVP in a single season? Yeah, we definitely asked this before. It's kind of coming back to me. But anyways, which Yankees legend is the only player to win World Series MVP and All-Star Game MVP in a single season? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. As for this episode 685 of the podcast, that's all we got. Yankees, Twins in the books. In the midst of a 3-game set against the Chicago White Sox at home right now. Took the first game tonight. Second game will be tomorrow afternoon at 1. Love the weekend afternoon games. So that'll be fun. Luis Seal tomorrow. I've gotten to a point where I'm like looking forward to his starts. So that should be a good time. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next show. Episode 685 in the books. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.